Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Better in 3D. I am producer Molly. I just wanted to say thank you for listening and coming back for part 2 of the top 10 of 2018. We really enjoyed making this podcast and kind of just delving in real deep to what happened in each of these movies and what we thought about it. There was some really unique stuff out there this year. So now you're listening to all of our top fives. These movies have been debated and contested and changed a million times over. Me and Matt went back and forth probably at least 10 times, changing at least the top 3, if not just the top 5 in general. The amount of movies that have gone to the top 5 and then I watched something else and then they completely drop off the list. It's incredible. Everything has been so up and down this year with movies. So these movies were so hard to pick, and I think I speak for all of at least me and Matt's ideas here when I say you could interchangeably move the top 5 around and it would be fine. We loved these movies. These were the movies that spoke to us on an emotional level as well as a technical level. I know my top 2 are basically interchangeable. I really couldn't decide and decided on the spot what I was going to do. I just went with the gut reaction. So please enjoy these. Let us know what your top 5 movies of the year were. Tell us what you agree and disagree with on this. Go ahead and watch in the YouTube video with the top 10 part 2. Let us know what you think. Comment on the video. Go ahead and shout us out on Twitter, any of the handles that you hear on this podcast, and let us know what you think, because we're wrong. We have above average livers, but below average intelligence. You've heard it before. And so, yeah, tell us where we screwed up and maybe where you agree with us. I don't know. People don't agree with us. We're not used to that. But again, thanks so much for for listening and sticking around through 2018 with us. We're looking forward to a lot of new things in 2019, a lot of fun stuff in 2019, and be looking for some interesting episodes. I'm going to tease just a little bit. We got some lesbian films we're going to talk about. If you want to stick around for that, we might be talking a little bit about the Rocky films. So some of your favorite hosts are coming up on some really great episodes. We got some new people coming up. So thank you for sticking around in 2018, and we're looking forward to gracing all of your ears with our joyous sounds in 2019. So thanks again, and enjoy the episode. Mamma mia, here we go. Beelzebub,
Has the devil put aside for me, for me, for me.
Yep.
So my number 5 is
Dun dun.
we're getting the top half, guys. Mine is A Quiet Place, which is a movie we talked about on a previous episode, but it really stuck with. Joe, did you see The Quiet Place with us? I can't remember.
No, I did not. I know it's
Yeah.
what's his name from The Office?
It's John Krasinski and Emily
Yes.
Blunt. And I feel like this is a movie that everyone's kind of sees. It's kind of like we were like talking about the Avengers. Everyone's seen the Avengers. The Quiet Place, a horror movie.
I
But-
haven't seen A Quiet Place with the Avengers.
Okay, so what's so great about the movie is 2 things: the directing and writing from John Krasinski, who wrote, directed, and starred in it, and then the acting from Emily Blunt. There's these and the kids. So there's really the movie takes maybe 6 actors in the whole movie, but really it's just this family of 4. It's vague in the best way for a horror movie should be. Basically, sometime in the relative future, creatures, if they're aliens, if they're monsters, they let you be enough where you don't really know, are killing everyone in the world by sound. They can't see, but they hear everything. So there's this family of the 2 parents, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, who are married in real life. Their daughter, who is, I would say, like 12, and she is deaf, and their younger son, who's like 6 or so, or 7. Like, he's a little bit younger. And the movie starts with them. Oh, sorry, he's like 8. The movie starts with this really horrible scene where they're all walking down through a city where, like, trying to get to a safe haven, and the little boy who's in there with them, and they're all ready to be quiet. He turns on a toy that makes noises, and the very opening scene starts with the youngest son being killed. Aww. And then John Krasinski running and trying to save him, but he can't save his son because he gets, and he stops the rest of them from screaming and crying because, like they're all gonna die. And then it's like a year later, and it tells it says like how many days later. It's like a little over a year. And you see them in this farmhouse where they've built their whole life on having no sound. Like when they walk in the ground barefoot, they put down sea sand. like beach sand, so it doesn't make any sound. They put little paint marks on the floor of the house so the boards don't creak. When they eat, they use leaves as plates. Everything they've done, even they play Monopoly at one point. Their pieces are made of felt, and they meticulously do this in the movie where every single thing they do is about not making sound. And you're at this point now, and they all can speak sign language. The one daughter speaks sign language, and she was supposed to be watching the youngest son, and because she couldn't tell that he was making noises. Like, that's the kind of deal. Like, so she's with this weird guilt where she thinks she's the reason her brother dies, and she thinks maybe her family blames her, like, because she was supposed to watch the two younger ones. And it's their life now, and Emily Blunt is pretty pregnant, like 8.5 months, and so they're like, John Krasinski's trying to make a way for her to give birth with not making sound. So he's like in this farm. Good
luck.
Yes. So in this like farm barn, he's built a room that's like the wine cellar that he's trying to, like, he needs to soundproof it, but he can't make any noise to soundproof it. So he's taking like paper mache and putting just putting layers of that. So it just is like a day in their life. Like, he kind of takes the kids out. They kind of get food every day. He's like they have the same routine to survive. There's also all their farms where they put like fire at night so they all can see each other. They're still alive. And then at one point they realize there's like 6 houses. They're all like putting the singles up that they don't, like, one person doesn't, it doesn't like light up the fire. Like, they realize one of them is dead. At the same time, he's like in this base.
Do they talk?
The what?
The actors?
No, they're all sign language.
Oh wow.
There's subtext, subtitles for it, but like in the movie itself has got no score. It's super silent. You can drop a pin in the movie theater and you're like, this is so creepy. Basic idea. One thing that happens though is like he's also trying to study like what happened. He's got these like newspaper clippings on the wall. He's trying to figure out how they. Like, there's like things like, what are they? Like, he realizes that they use sound. He's trying to figure out how they also are super armored. Like, you shoot them with a gun, it just bounces off them. Like, they look like almost crustacean looking like things. You don't, also because they don't have a huge budget, don't really get to see the monsters. And I'm going to spoil a bunch of this because I feel like I haven't seen it. But the reason this movie works is it's not a horror movie. It is a movie about a family and what they would do. They have this couple scenes where they do talk. If something is so loud that they can't differentiate it, they won't go there. So a lot of times they go to this waterfall where he fishes, and the noise is so loud from the waterfall they can go underneath the waterfall and they can talk. So him and Emily Blunt talk. He takes his son there, shows them. They can talk here, that kind of stuff. And basically, they make a deal with each other. She tells them no matter what happens, the kids have to survive. Like, that's all it is. And so what happens is after we watch them like for 3 days surviving. They go I think go fishing again. They use like traps so they don't make any noise. There's one of the people that we think are dead is in the woods, and he's burying his wife, and he starts crying very loudly. He starts screaming, and like his family's there. So like these creatures show up. So they get back to the house. They have like weird defenses. Like, they have like this thing where they light off fireworks and then they make noise and distract them like that. But it's just basically they're trying to get back home so they don't die. And Emily Blunt goes in labor. There's this horror. This is in the trailer. There's this great scene where she's literally giving birth in a bathtub, making no noise. She's like biting her hand so hard that she's bleeding. Like, she can't make any noise or she'll die. And there's this really great scene. I don't want to spend too much with John because like, well, what would you do for your kids? Don't worry, I cried a bunch of times in that. Wow. They actually at some point do maybe find a way to combat them on accident, but like, it's this great scene. This is a great family thing. Like, what would you like? That's the promise that the two main characters made each other. We're gonna, no matter what happens, the kids survive. And what would you do to make sure they survive? It's a great movie. It's heartfelt. It's a great horror movie, but in general, it's just a family film, but in extraordinary story. Yes. And also, so it's got the good story, but it's also got this. If you just watch it, the fine tooth comb, like everything in this movie is like they thought about. He's like, oh, I would not make sound this way. I would not do this. Like, all these ways to minimize sound. This is a kind of cool test. Yeah.
So it's pretty similar to Bird Box.
Yes, which I've heard is I've not seen Bird Box, but I've heard it's.
I do want to see Bird Box.
It's worth watching. I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen A Quiet Place, so I can't really compare the two. But Sandra Bullock is great. Kind of that idea of what would you do to save your kids. And again, there's a birthing scene.
Is there?
There's a dual birthing scene. Two people give birth at the same time. So there's a lot there. It sounds very, very similar. So I'm interested to see A Quiet Place because I think this has become a theme is let's use a horror movie as like basically a cover to do a movie that might not have sold otherwise, like a family movie.
Well, that was how horror used to be back in the day. Like, horror goes through cycles where it's like, it used to be like horror and sci-fi would be like vehicles for a moral or whatever it was. Like, so in the 70s, the horror movies were like not like that. But in the 80s, they became gratuitous and they became like like they became like the Freddy movies and the Jason movies. Like they became like, just like let's just scare people. But in the '90s, they came back around with Scream and things like that. Was like, oh, let's try to like put thoughts. Even it's comments about culture, it's commenting something. And then it went back to like when we got to like the gore stuff, with like the hostels and the saws. Like, oh, it's back to just being scary.
Yeah, it almost seems like
now
like gore is an excuse to like try to sicken.
In the last couple years, we have Jordan Peele's
Get Out.
Get Out. You have intellectual horror movies.
Yeah,
which is great. They're bringing
which
back.
appeals to me. I don't really like horror, so like being able to go in and like have something to focus on other than some of the horror aspects I don't typically like. It's great.
Well, it's like a sci-fi like this too. A lot of times, you get that we're going to use something entertaining to fool you to learn something.
Yeah.
So, Joe, what's your number 5?
Number 5 is Bad Times at the El Royale.
I didn't get a chance to see this one.
Okay, it's kind of like Pulp Fiction's lesser cousin.
It looked very Pulp Fiction-esque.
Yeah. It follows more of a chronology than Pulp Fiction did because Pulp Fiction kind of jumped here and there and here and there, and you had Quentin Tarantino's dialogue. But this doesn't really have that. But it's a similar film in that it's got specific chapters in each person's life that comes into this hotel, and you find out more about them as the hotel, as the movie progresses. But then it kind of towards the end goes into a whole Chris Hemsworth, Charles Manson type, finale, which is interesting as a climax because they had to like build this, to a conclusion. So it doesn't really have the panache that Pulp Fiction has, but still like a really entertaining film to find out like who is this person, what is their past, what brought them here. This person that seems like they are is not really who they are. And so you find out kind of who they are, and it progresses to an ending. So it's neat. Not quite as good as Pulp Fiction, but really entertaining film, and definitely check it out.
Yeah, and I think the reason I didn't get to see it was because I counted on it being there for a while because such a great cast. It was getting the hype for it was pretty big, and then it came out and it got such terrible reviews. A bunch of people said they didn't like it, and it didn't stay in theaters long enough for me to get to it because it was just at a time when it was busy and I couldn't quite get to as many movies. So I counted on that one, and it was gone. So I'm glad to hear somebody liked it because the trailer sells it as a really good movie, and with that cast, I have trouble believing that it's not a good movie. So I'm glad to hear someone really likes it. I thought it looked like it was going to be a really great movie visually too.
Yeah, I thought it was a great movie. And one of the things that I do personally when I look at films is I try to stay away from what the public and what reviewers say. Mm-hmm. So when I look at a movie and I decide like how I like it, but what I like about it, like the cool argument we got into earlier about Fantastic Beasts 2 is that I try to stay away from what other people say as reviews. So I have a tendency to review films like higher than like what the public says. And so no, there was a lot about this movie that I really enjoyed, and a lot of people may disagree, but that was my perception when I first saw it.
I mean, I read the reviews. They were very polarizing. You're not like out there. There's a lot of people who love this movie, but but some people really hate this movie. So which sometimes is a good thing. Sometimes if you see a movie that's polarizing, it's not bad. It's just an emotional reaction is an emotional reaction. It can be good or positive, but art should make you feel something. It shouldn't be just boring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
What was your number 5?
My number 5 is White Boy Rick.
What that was on my maybe list.
I didn't expect to really enjoy it. So basically, I went because I had some time, and it was the only thing out really at the time that was.
And you love Matthew McConaughey.
Interesting. I mean, I do like me some Matthew McConaughey. He's all right. But,
there it is. That's what I wanted you to say. I'll set you up for it.
It's those Lincoln commercials.
All right.
There you go.
But basically, this young kid, he's probably I think 15-ish.
15 in the start movie.
He's 15. Okay, yeah, he's 15. He hangs out with a bunch of gangs, and he's in a kind of a shady neighborhood, and
so it's Detroit in the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I don't have much historical context for it. I just know what I see on the screen. But his father is a gun dealer. He sells guns, like not on the sly, like on the books, gun dealer, purchases and then guns and then sells them and all of that. And so his dad is selling guns to some of these guys, and he comes in and basically says to one gang, like, hey, I got the hookup for some guns for you guys. I can get you at a price. And so he kind of is brought into this gang as it's white boy Rick. He's the only white boy.
Like he's just like he just walks in and he's fearless. Like he should be afraid, but like they like his brazenness. Like, no, I'm here for you know who my dad is. I got guns. Would you like to buy them? Like the fact that he's kind of fearless in their presence is what they like about it. Like, okay, who's this guy? You know, like what's going on? And he also looks, and I hear it's accurate from real life. This is based on a real story. You know, he's 15. He looks 18, 19 years old. He looks so much older.
He looks a lot older.
And that's pretty accurate for the movie because it comes into play in the movie.
Yeah, and part of it is like that brazenness at the beginning of the movie where he just walks in and kind of introduces himself. You're like, oh, look at this guy. And you kind of slowly learn that he's just not educated. He had no idea that was not that was not bravery that sent him in there. That was just a genuine, like, oh, they need guns. I have guns. Like, he's very uneducated based on where he lives from, his family life. But as it goes along, the FBI somehow gets involved and goes to him and basically has him start selling drugs.
Well, here, this is the thing that's crazy with this. It was like, I mean, it's a true story, and everything everyone knows the end of it. I'm going to spoil because you know they talk in the beginning of the movie. He's famous for being the longest incarcerated person in American history without a violent crime. He has no violent crimes on his record at all. No. But at the height of the 80s when the war on drugs was happening, he is a minor and does things, and he's still he was in jail for like over 30 years. Like, it's insane. Wow. But his dad, because Matthew McConaughey at the very beginning kind of knows, but doesn't kind of know that when he's selling these guns at the beginning of the movie are two criminals. So they're not legit. There's no background checks. So those guns were used in a murder, and these FBI agents just pick him up, and actually, and they're cops too, because it's a time when the whole Detroit PD are dirty. Like the mayor's dirty. Like it's bad. Like so, the feds are trying to get him in there. They basically tell him, "Hey, you're gonna go buy drugs for us and be an informant, or your dad's going to jail." And he's a 15-year-old boy, and they don't take him to the police. They just pick him up off the street and just tell him that. And they physically hit him and just tell him he's got to do it. And basically, he kind of, because he's a street smart kid, he's like, "Well, can I keep the profits?" And like, "Sure, you keep the profits. What do you sell?" And he even has a gun on him. And they're like, "What do you mean you have a gun?" He goes, "I'm gonna go up there and I'm gonna get murdered if I don't have a gun. Like, are you out of your mind?" And he just goes, does it, and he just becomes this insane informant for them, right? It's like,
yeah, he becomes an informant, and then when he starts kind of needing money, his dad gets out of the gun business. He goes, "Well, I'm really good at selling drugs," and then he starts selling again.
Well, so basically, he's this informant, and he gets a girl pregnant. They love him. He was this famous wedding. Mm-hmm. They want to take him to the mayor, but they realize at some point there's an informant, and they feel it's him. And the head of the gang, who is his best friend's cousin, shoots him. He's shot in the chest, but survives. But why that happened though, on a other tip, they took down the majority of the gang. So because he had this kind of immunity deal, and he got shot and he survived. And because he was a minor, he gets out of the system. He doesn't go to jail the rest of them because they feel like they're he didn't get busted because he's been shot. And most people who thought he's dirty are in jail. He realizes there's a power vacuum. There's no one selling drugs. So he goes back to the original hookup. Yeah. This guy he met at a wedding. He goes, "Hey, let me sell for you." And so he becomes the de facto drug connection of Detroit at the age of 17. He's for a year and a half just moving millions of dollars of product. He's just all over the place, but also never does a violent crime. He's very clear, I'm not going to use guns. I'm not going to do anything like that.
Yeah. And, you obviously know how the story ends, but it's so shocking to see it in this day and age because everybody is so corrupt. The government is so corrupt. He gets caught, selling drugs when he goes back, and basically they go to the FBI agents and they're like, "This kid worked for you. You got him into selling drugs." And they go, "Yeah, we can't do anything." Well,
they also lied to him. They said, "Hey, well, if you do," they tried to get him the mayor again. They go, "If you do this one more time as an informant, we'll take care of you." But they won't sign anything. And his dad, Matthew McConaughey, tells him to trust them. And he goes to jail. And because it was a time when the Reagan had those minimums, if you do so much weight, you're going to go away for life. And even though he, at the time, I think he gets arrested, he's still 17, but he doesn't go to jail until he's 19. He gets 30 to life, and the FBI the FBI doesn't step in. "Well, we tried, but the judge didn't want to hear it." So he gets screwed hard.
And it's so hard to watch that. Matthew McConaughey is good in this movie. He might see a nomination. I'm not really sure. But Richie Merritt, the young kid that plays Rick
Which I
Horsey
believe it's
Jr.
like one of his first major roles. Like,
Yeah, I mean, just looking at his page, I've got him pulled up here. He's not in a lot. Like, this is it. White Boy Rick is the only thing that he's in.
He's
Some
great
Made
in
in Hollywood thing, but that looks like some sort of press release or something. He was great. He played the character well. There's a lot of dynamic about how educated he is and how street smart he is.
yeah,
And
no real education, but like he's got that weird
You
survival.
mean the actor? Or?
No, the
the character.
The character. Okay.
So he's played very well by this Rick Horsey Jr. I would love to see him up for some sort of nomination or somebody just recognizing, like, hey, look at this guy. Look what he's doing and look what he did with this role. Bruce Dern is also in the movie.
He's really good. The grandfather, Bruce Dern.
He's the grandfather. It's such a small part, but it's
But he's great in
it's
it.
Bruce Dern and he does really well.
And the sister, who's this
The sister is Belle Powley.
and she's this crackhead
Yeah.
sister that gets clean. They do a lot of like weird things where it makes you sympathize for the family. But like also one of the big things about this case is he eventually gets let go in like 2013 or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's like the law that he had that made him go away for life got overturned, like being unconstitutional, like in the early 90s. But they kept him in jail for a decade anyway. Like, hey, the law now says you only get like 8 years for this. He's got life for this. It took because when he got arrested, the media made it like they really embarrassed the city of Detroit, saying like, oh my God, the person who's like Detroit's in, it's Detroit, is a 17-year-old boy, was making all the cops and all the prosecutors and all the people look horrible. He's running this whole drug syndicate as a teenager. So he was infamous as this like teen, like, so like there was no one advocating for him to like, okay, he's obviously had more time. He was a juvenile. He's, he spent so like he's got a kid he's never even seen basically. And it's a little heartbreaking at the end, but I mean, also at the same time, he did do horrible things, but like, I don't know. If you were an idiot 16-year-old, like, I think I can make money. Because he also has a kid.
Oh, I think we all did horrible things. When
Yeah,
we
well,
were 16.
imagine if basically he's got a kid on the way, he has no real prospects, and he realizes he has the keys of the kingdom. He has all this information, he has all the connection, he knows where everyone comes from. He was in the room when this all happened. Everyone who did this is just gone, and everyone still wants drugs, and he's the only one who knows how it works. So he gets a whole crew going. Like, he just does it. Like, oh, I know how this works. Let's just make money.
Yeah. No, solid, good movie, and small cast, but not a small cast, but I so focused on the one character, so I liked getting to see that.
Like, it's a small family. The family,
yeah, and I liked getting to see this focus on a character that I really had not heard of and had not seen, that was so I guess unexpected.
Yeah, I agree with you. So that was your number 5, right?
Yep.
So we're getting down to number 4. So like I'm gonna say right now, like my next 4 movies are my top 4. Any one of them could be my top 1. I kept going back and forth, which there was no clear like this is the best movie of the year for me. So at one point this was my number 1. I'd go back and forth. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is my number 4. I'm gonna say this right now. In a year that gave me Black Panther, it gave me Avengers: Infinity War, it gave me Ant-Man 2, some good movies, and also gave me Incredibles 2. If you told me 2 things, one, that the best animated movie of the year was going to be Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, not Incredibles 2, because it's a great movie, I thought you're crazy. And after seeing Avengers and Black Panther, like the best comic book movie I saw there was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, also would have said you're crazy. I mean, it's a Sony movie, it's Sony Marvel, so it's like kind of a little jaded, but it was so strange. Like I was surprised. I mean, I know Into the Spider-Verse, I'm a comic book nerd, I know the story. It's so good. It's by far the best Spider-Man movie they made. It's great. Basically, it's an alternate version. It stars. I mean, it's just not crazy talking about, but like we all know the Peter Parker Spider-Man, right? This is Miles Morales, who is canon in the Marvel comics. It's an adjacent reality of Spider-Man where they had a Peter Parker, but there was a second Spider-Man. Basically, Miles Morales is he's a half black, half Mexican teenager. He's very young, and in this world, and frankly, if you're watching this movie, because it's by the same guy, Phil Lord, who wrote the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street, and then the early version of Solo before he got fired. He writes a very funny but like heartwarming story about like, and he does it in the narrative of a great way, where it's first told by Spider-Man, who says his time. Every time we meet a Spider-Man, and we meet like 8 Spider-Mans in this movie because it's a multiverse movie. It's voiced by Chris Pine. He's a blonde Spider-Man, and he's saying, for the last 6 years, I've been Spider-Man, the one and only. And it gives his story, and like you see a comic book, it goes through it, and it's the Spider-Man this would be Spider-Man 4. Like, it's the continuation of the Tobey Maguire series. And who was supposed to voice this guy at the beginning was supposed to be Tobey Maguire, but for a reason didn't get it. So this would be Spider-Man 4 of that universe. It shows the kiss. It shows Doc Ock. It even shows, he goes, and I even dance. That's from Spider-Man 3, but we don't talk about that. Like, so it is the continuation from that storyline. That's the world we're in. And he is fighting the Green Goblin and the Kingpin in this weird reactor. Like, that's the Spider-Man. He is the quintessential Spider-Man. He's on his A game. He's funny. He's quipping. He's doing everything you want for Spider-Man. Miles Morales plays this kid who's smart. He's going to a private, I forget it's called, the kind of school where you go like away for the week. He's like boarding school in New York, but he's from New York, so he gets to go home on the weekends. And he doesn't want to be there. He doesn't want to be this smart. He wants to be back with his friends. He's a graffiti artist, but he's a smart kid and like that. And his dad's a cop. And him and his uncle, who he kind of idolizes, goes and tags this like area of New York. And while he's there, he gets bit by the spider that's underneath this thing that's happening where Spider-Man is eventually going to be fighting the Green Goblin. He goes back to where the spider bit him because he realizes he's got these weird powers. He's trying to figure out what happened to himself. And he kind of goes up in the area. He realizes he can climb the walls. He kind of goes up where he hears noise. And there is a particle accelerator collider. It's like the CERN super collider is happening under the city of New York. The Kingpin is there with the Green Goblin, and a villain which I never thought I would ever see in a movie is Tombstone. There's a weird villain they have there. And they're fighting. He's trying to turn on this particle accelerator, and it happens. And Spider-Man has got this weird gadget where he's gonna like destroy it. He's like Spider-Man. He's gonna save the day. And at some point he runs into this young Miles Morales who is kind of watching it, and they both have their spider sense, and they do the lines like from the comic where they can sense, like he goes, oh my god, you're like, they're both their spider sense go off. He realizes instantaneously they're like each other. Oh my god, you're just like me. And he even pulls and goes, okay, get out of the way. I can say today, but I can show you how to be Spider-Man. I'll show you how to handle these powers. You're gonna have the mentor I never had. I'm gonna help you. And then he goes to go fight the Green Goblin. He destroys the machine, but it blows up in the process, because he gets thrown into the multiverse for a second because the Green Goblin goes go crazy, and it's a weird version of the Green Goblin where he's like got wings and he can throw fireballs. It's from the alternate universe. And the Kingpin, voiced by Lee Schreiber, who is a great actor, murders Spider-Man, and they show it right away. He stomps on his face till he's dead. He kills him. And Miles sees this, and he gets the little gadget, and he runs away. And they see there's someone else there. They send one of the villains, which is the Prowler, after him. He runs away, and he's still there. But Spider-Man's dead, and the world knows it. And so the whole thing is Spider-Man. There's like Mary Jane goes out to the world, tells everyone, I was married to Spider-Man. He's dead now. They mourn him, and it's very funny because not funny, but sad. The Kingpin, who is still not a villain to the world, acts like he's like, oh, it's so sad that Spider-Man's dead. And then all of a sudden, this Miles Morales realizes, I promised Spider-Man I was going to take the device and stop it. He's like, he tells him for his last time breath, please take this, stop, save the universe kind of deal. And he realizes he can't. He goes to his funeral. He goes to Peter Parker's grave, and all of a sudden there is another Peter Parker, and this is voiced by Jake Johnson. He's much older. He's like then all of a sudden like a comic falls on the screen and goes, oh, just so you know the story. I was bitten by a radioactive spider. Like my uncle was dead, but I've been Spider-Man for 20 some years, and this Spider-Man is much older, and his story arc is he was dedicated to the job so much and Mary Jane leaves him. So like they break up. He gets a one-room apartment. He eats too much. So much so that he can't fit his pants. He's wearing sweatpants. Like he's got a gut. And like he's now the Peter Parker in this world because the multiverse kind of broke. And eventually more and more Spider-Men just keep showing up into this world. There's Spider-Woman played by Gwen Stacy. There's all different versions of it. It's very funny. But really what's really great about this movie in general, it's two weird stories. One, all these people, what they would do, what it means to be Spider-Man. Would be a hero. Everyone. The whole point is everyone, every one of these Spider-Man goes, I'm the one and only Spider-Man. He basically the idea is anyone can be Spider-Man. Anyone can be a hero, and everyone has power. And all you do is just whatever your gift is to harness it. And there's also great stories about like mentors and fathers. Like there's like. I don't want to spoil too much because it's so great. I want everyone to see it. It's relatively new. Also, I'm going to say the animation is phenomenal. They've tried mixing 2D and 3D animation before. They fucking nail it. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. They use different types of animation, types of special effects. I cannot describe how much I love this movie. I've been talking for a while now. Joe, you keep looking at me. Do you got something to say about Spider-Man?
No. I mean, I haven't seen this movie, but it sounds very interesting, like involved.
It's got so much. They go like so many different, like the Prowler's in it, Doc Ock's in it, Scorpion's in it, Peter Porker's in it. Like, which, by the way, you're gonna see all these different Spider-Mans in it. They're all actual canon Spider-Man's like spin-offs and different like they do these like kind of Elseworld things. Nicolas Cage plays Spider Noir, where it's set in the 30s, and he uses a gun. And one of my favorite jokes in the whole movie is they're all these different Spider-Men are descending in this spider cave, basically, where this Peter Parker has his stuff set up down these webs, and it's our Miles Morales, and this other Peter Parker sees him going down, but like the Noir Spider-Man wears like a black trench coat, and it's flapping. And he finally goes, is this guy's coat flapping in the wind? There's no wind in a cave, like in this in below ground. And he's like, I am the wind and the night and justice. Like he does a quintessential Nicolas Cage performance as Spider-Man. It's fantastic. I cannot speak enough about how great the voice acting is and the animation is, and it's just gorgeous, and it's fantastic. I cannot recommend this movie enough.
I'm purposely a little bit disengaged.
Because you don't want to know the spoilers?
I'm also muted. I'm purposely disengaged because I'm going to see it tomorrow. So I didn't want the spoilers because I'm gonna go see it so soon.
I only gave you like the first 15 minutes of the movie. There's so much more. I try not to.
I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
But and I'll take this moment to say there are some gaping holes in what I've seen. There were some things I just didn't get to. I have not seen Sorry to Bother You, which I will play. I have not seen Vice, which I may not be on a bunch of top 10s or anything, but it's one that I want to see. I have not seen Into the Spider-Verse, and I have not seen Green Book or Avengers. Or Black Klansman, which is a part. It seems like it's going to get. I'll take a little bit more wine. Yes.
Molly's drinking more wine. Now.
Oh, okay. Drinking a lot more wine. So yeah, I have these glaring holes just because of based on time. Nothing that it's like, oh, I didn't get to this because my life is busy, But those are ones I do intend. So my top 10 in the next couple of weeks might change, and I'll keep you updated.
Okay.
Maybe I'll keep you updated on the YouTube channel that we're now promoting.
Yeah. Did we ever put the last episode up? The Molly actually comes out episode on YouTube.
Molly accidentally comes out is on YouTube.
To it yet,
no, on the YouTube channel now. Molly's bringing us into a whole new world of media.
I'm the youth of this podcast. Yeah. And yes, so we are on YouTube. Go ahead and take a listen to the one thing we have up there. But look for some more stuff coming your way. I've got some big plans. The video edition of the Disney episode we did. There may or may not be a Rocky episode in the vault somewhere that'll get released on YouTube. And it will be released on YouTube before it gets released on the podcast. So make sure you go on, check that out, take a look at that. So I'll keep you updated on what movies I have seen and if it changes my top 10 at all on YouTube.
All right, Joseph, what's your number 4?
Number 4 is Mission Impossible Fallout.
Great movie. It's like
probably one of the best of the whole series.
So this is number 7, I believe, right? Number 6.
Number 6. Yeah.
I would say it's the second best. After Ghost Protocol is my favorite, but this would be my number 2 on the list. It's fantastic.
Number 3, I think, is my favorite, though.
That'd be my third favorite.
Yeah.
Those are by far those 3 are the best 3.
I don't actually know which ones I've seen, but I've seen like 2 or 3 of them. I just enjoy them. They're fun.
They're fun. They're fun movies. They
Tom
deliver.
Cruise.
Yeah. Which brings up Tom Cruise. Not my favorite person, like actor as a person, but he's in like such wonderful films. Like I
try not to judge
like
movies.
Running Back to like Tom Cruise movies.
I try to judge movies on like the actor's like real life persona.
Like real
but like
persona.
I love Few Good Men. I love The Firm. I love the fact that there's a point in his career when he's at his height. He decided to take some weird stuff. Minority Report, Last Samurai, Vanilla Sky. He did some weird shit.
He
that
does.
were great.
He stretches.
Magnolia.
Which you would expect him to just basically stick to tried and true.
Yeah.
Like blockbuster formulas, which Mission Impossible, I guess, is.
Well, I mean, he had some rough times. He went back to the well, but he's better than ever on these movies.
Oh yeah. No, he's awesome, and even like running on his broken ankle, like through
that he jumps at it, he breaks his ankle, he runs through it. That's crazy. Best parts of the movie is I say what's different about this movie compared to the other Mission Impossibles. It's pretty much a complete sequel. No, the other ones there are characters that kind of like come in between the other ones. This one, if you didn't see Rogue Nation, which is the one before it, you wouldn't know how to watch that one. It's a direct sequel to that movie, which
you
is
pretty much should watch them like
they literally happen like back to back, like days, but between each other, which I was not ready for. Because I did not like Rogue Nation as much as the other ones. Because I love Gross Protocol. Like, oh, Rogue Nation's okay, but now knowing that was just the first half of a 2-part story. Oh, I went back and watched it right away. It's like, oh, this makes it so, because it was kind of weirdly anticlimactic. Where it's like, oh, they just kind of caught this guy. Well, then I found out like the next week, oh no, that was just the first half of this story. I mean, I wish they would kind of like call that like part 1, so I knew that. It was
you really need to like watch them like both at the same time.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like just the tension of this film was just phenomenal, and it's just like really complicated as far as like who's going after who, et cetera, et cetera. And
it had a little bit more of I love what they've done since J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot got in it, where they kind of mesh the Bourne style with the Bond style, but have their own like little like their own style like makes together, because it still has that kind of like intrigue spy stuff, but at the same time it's just like a nonstop action. They really kind of thread the needle on multiple styles and makes it work. And
I really like the camaraderie between like Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg and Tom Cruise and their characters. It's really it adds like a comedic element, but there's so much tension, and you're just like actually like towards the end I'm like, why doesn't Tom Cruise die? Yeah. I mean, Jesus, he's like immortal.
Alec Baldwin was really good in this movie too, which I forgot. I forgot he was in the one before. I was I thought someone would see Jeremy Renner again because he was in the 2 previous ones. I thought for sure we'd see him, but it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I love Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, Molly loves Jeremy Renner.
I love Jeremy Renner. Long live Jeremy Renner.
He's underrated. I mean, I know he's Hawkeye, so but like
he's going to be in Endgame.
Yes, we saw
him
as Ronan. What I liked so much in the movie was Henry Cavill, Superman, was phenomenal. Like that, he was so good. I mean,
he was such a dick, but awesome dick. that sounded wrong.
You gotta get that awesome dick. Yeah.
That guy's an awesome dick. I love it.
No. But no, he's just in. He's always played like good guys in movies, and he like.
Did you ever see Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
Yes,
he was that was such an underrated movie and so good in it. Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, him and Armie Hammer just killing it.
But to see him play a bad character and he did it so well. I mean, he was just
I'm gonna say the best chase helicopter scene I've ever seen in a movie.
Oh, I know.
Because it's hard to do, and they did it in such a tense way. It was so good. I mean, I agree with you. It was definitely one of my if I could have 15, it'd be on there. Mm-hmm. And also I know that I'm sad she's not here because she's out of state right now. But Allison loves this movie. This is probably her number 1. Like she loves this movie.
Awesome. It is a great movie. Check it out.
Molly, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is The Miseducation of Cameron Post.
Okay.
This is a tiny little movie. It's based off of a book. Chloe Grace Moretz plays a queer girl who gets basically found making out with a girl at prom.
Gross.
Gross, I know.
All right. Jeez, how dare she?
How dare Chloe Grace Moretz take such wonderful roles? But she gets caught making out with a girl at prom and gets sent to conversion therapy. So she goes to conversion therapy. Kind of this ragtag group of people.
What? You know what this?
Well, I'm naive.
You know what? Oh my god!
So conversion therapy is where
is it like where like the nuns used to hit the left hands to make them right hands?
Well,
yes,
more or less,
actually.
yes. They get sent to these. Usually they're live-in camps. Sometimes they're just like a day seminar things, trying to turn someone who's gay into not gay. Usually via religion.
They were very popular in the 90s. Our vice president sponsors them in Indiana. Like he gave money to them.
This was popular in the 90s? I thought we had progressed beyond this.
No, they're still around.
Something
Jesus.
I don't remember what the number is, but the number of people who are in conversion therapy right now is staggering. I want to say something in the 10,000s. So above that.
There's another movie came out earlier this year, The Boy Erased, we talked about the same thing. They gave us at the end. Since 1980, over 750,000 Americans have been through conversion therapy, and they give like a success rate of like 60 or 70%, but they don't count if someone kills themselves. They consider that they say that they didn't finish the program. They don't count that number. The number of suicides is insane through these things.
It's something to the effect of conversion therapy is quote unquote 50% success rate because the
Because they take out
other
the
50%.
So if they
usually
escape
commit
and run
suicide.
away, or if they kill themselves, they don't consider them because they didn't go to the end. Because most of them are religion based. Like if you went into the end, you'd be saved. But like these people either ran away or they kill themselves, so they don't take those numbers out.
What boggles me is it that important? I mean, this is a big topic.
Yeah, I know. But but like they're still around. It's not as big as it used to be. Like in the 90s, it was a huge thing.
And I think that's why this movie is so important, because people have no idea. Even someone like me, who's very much a part of the queer community, had no idea that number was that staggering. And people need to hear about it. So there were two movies. There was this Miseducation of Cameron Post. There was Boy Erased. The two have merits that make them both very good. What I liked about the Miseducation was it was funny. It recognized that it was a bunch of high schoolers stuck in this place that they didn't want to be. Some of them are completely following it, trying so hard to be what they think is their best selves. You've got a couple of them that are smoking pot that they grew out in the forest out behind the place where they're staying. There's some of them that are just educated kids who are there because of their parents, and they know that they're being sold this idea that's not necessarily true. So you get to see all of these kids trying to be kids in a place where they're not allowed to be themselves, and it's so painstaking to watch. But what I liked was it did give it humor, it did give it a lightness that I think that subject matter kind of demands.
Oh,
at
really?
times.
Because I've not seen this, but I saw Boy Raised.
Yeah,
And it's so dark.
Boy Erased was hard to watch.
Yeah,
at times.
we all saw the Oriental, and I
Yeah.
remember looking down, and there's just 6 people just crying.
We were all just sobbing
Well,
in the entire row.
At the same time, though, I don't know how this movie acting wise was, but like the performance was supposed to be by Nicole Kidman and Russell Crowe, and even Joel Edgerton were just phenomenal.
Joel Edgerton is never bad.
Yeah.
Most underrated actor in Hollywood today.
When Nicole Kidman takes that scene where she busts in there to take her kid out of that place, and she apologizes, like that was worth the price of admission. Like she's also, I mean, for someone who's been nominated multiple times, I think she's won an Oscar. Still underrated. She's phenomenal. In everything she does.
But
And
talking of Joel Edgerton, I mean, the guy is like never the same in like any role.
ever,
I mean,
like he disappears, you
could
don't
show
know
up-
it's him.
He's this generation's Gary Oldman. Like he's that guy who like just you don't realize he's in that movie because he's so good at just blending into it.
Yeah.
He's always. I mean, you're not wrong. He's just always different. Did you ever see They Come for Us at Night with him, the horror movie that he was in last year?
No,
Oh,
I believe it was
so
on my list,
good.
but I never made it.
Yeah, he's not one you forget he's in there because he's just so fucking good.
Yeah, but so this movie,
One of the reasons why I rated Red Sparrow so high, which most people once again like downgrade, but I don't know. I don't
didn't
go
see it.
by
So,
what.
yeah.
I have trouble
critics
believing
say.
that he is anything other than great in anything he does. But for the movie, I liked the character dynamics. I liked the acting. There may be an argument that Boy Erased was better, but this particularly, I liked this script better than Boy Erased. Boy Erased felt like that's exactly what you expect conversion therapy to be. This is not exactly what I expected it to be. It shows you kind of a different side of these adults that don't really know what they're doing. They're going off of this idea that, oh, kids you shouldn't be gay, and they kind of are making it up as they go, and it's very obvious that they have no idea how to protect these kids.
Well, that was like that scene in Boy Race where like they take him to a batting cage. They made him run. They make him really.
Yeah.
It was like such a weird, like they don't know what the hell they're doing. A weird role by Flea, by the way. I was like from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was really a weird role for him. But yeah, it was obviously like the books they give them to save their souls.
Yeah.
Had typos in it. They didn't make any sense. It was so weird.
Yeah, and so there's that concept here too. This one is a little bit. The two are just Boy Erased and this are very different. I think they both have downfalls, and I think they're both very much edge into which one's the better movie. But
You like Chloe Moretz. That's what it is.
I mean, that's a large part of it.
Okay.
That's a
She's
very
great.
large part of it.
Yeah.
But she's another one. I've liked her since what was that movie? Kick-Ass? Where she was really young, and so I've watched her grow as an actor.
She's Hit Girl.
She is, and she specifically had retired from acting at this,
She
quote
was
unquote
supposed
retired.
to be Ariel in the live action Myrtle Mermaid movie, and they had to stop because she just literally just stopped making. She's like, became 19 and freaked out for a second. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, my whole life I've been working. She basically just ran away.
She completely stopped, and then she took this role and said, "I have to take this role. It's worth it." She has 2 gay brothers. There's rumors going around that she's queer. I don't really care about whether or not she's queer, but she took it because it meant something to her, and that means something to me. But
Why does it mean something to you?
Oh, I already came out on this
I know, that's
podcast,
what
Matt.
it was
I don't
last
have to
episode.
come out a second time.
Every episode, right?
Every episode. So this is the part of the show where Molly comes out and says, "I am a lesbian."
I love. Okay, so you don't understand. There's already been a drinking game made for our podcast. I love that there should be an updated rule where and slam your shot when Molly says she's a lesbian.
When Molly comes out as a lesbian.
Every episode.
Yeah, but I guess I really don't have anything more to say about this. There's this wonderful scene where they do the hey yeah what's going on, and you get to see these kids kind of release and just let go, and it's so much fun. But it has those moments of lightness that give to.
I'm sorry. Do you not know who sings that song?
You have a good voice, by the way.
Oh, thank you. That's a very select opinion.
No, it was good. You were
thank
totally
you.
yeah.
Four Non Blondes. Come on.
What?
Four Non Blondes sings that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. The only reason I even know that song exists is because of Sense8, TV show. That's how young I am. That's how young and spry I am.
Okay.
Let me tell you.
All right. So you like this way? You
I
made
liked
me
it.
feel so
The
old.
only downfall might be the ending. I don't want to give too much of a spoiler, but I was looking for a happy ending that wasn't coming. So,
Never.
but Boy Erased gave us the happy ending. I
Yeah,
think
which I was not
Miseducation
expecting. I
deserved.
mean, I didn't know that it was a book based on like an actual person.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't know going in, but man, I was expecting for him to be dead at one point. For sure.
Well, that's the problem with these movies. You expect somebody to die, especially the main character, at some point, and it's so hard to watch a movie with that sort of stress on yourself.
All right. I just realized how long we've been talking, so we got to pick this up.
I mean, we're at 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Okay, so you're wrong.
Okay, we gotta move on.
No, you're wrong. This is usually how the end of the year one goes, but this will be we'll never top the Harry Potter one. That was by far the 3-hour episode. So let's go quick. My number
Long
3
live.
is The Favorite. The Favorite is the story set in like the 1700s. I was think maybe earlier. It's about Queen Anne. Joe, you're my history buff. When did Queen Anne rule England?
Sorry, lost it.
You know what I'm talking about.
Here, I'll Google it.
Yes, I know.
She was the Mad Queen who had
Yes,
bunnies and
mhm.
had like.
I think
dogs and- yeah.
16th century, but I'm
Okay.
not sure.
No, either way, this movie is
Kim would probably know.
Kim is a smart lady.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
She's
she's
wonderful.
So what's so great with this movie is it's
1665 to 1714.
Joseph Weber on the money. I'm trying to Google it right now, and it's just my phone's not going very fast. But either way, The Favorite is Queen Anne, played by an actress I can't know because my phone won't update right now. But it's
Let me. I got you.
yeah, there's basically she's the queen, and the movie stars Rachel Weisz as her best friend. Right? She's been her
Cutting
Yes, I
in,
know
my
this
chocolate
one.
cake just hit the
Yes.
floor, and it was terrifying, and that's what the note was. Anyway,
So the movie starts with her like kind of like the two of them interacting. So she's obviously mad. Like this woman is a mad woman. Like as the movie goes on, you can't realize if she's crazy or did she become crazy because of her trauma. But she is not really fit to rule England. But her best friend Susan is a lady who's married, and her husband is like one of like the generals of her army, and they're fighting France. They just beat France in one victorious battle. So much that France left, is retreated. And basically at this point now, there is the prime minister, because it's that time, but there's two opposite parties. One wants the prime minister who's in power, wants to keep going to France and just destroy them, so they just stay down. And then Nicholas Hoult plays the leader of the opposition, who wants to make peace, because his party is paying for all the citizens are paying with money for the war, and their citizens are dying. He wants to make peace, but at the same time, you're not sure if he's really trying to speak for the people, or if he just wants power. It's kind of he's very backstabby politician, right? And he's also very flamboyant. He wears like the powdered wig and the pantaloons, and he's very a flamboyant man.
well, but you've got the nail on the head. With that's the entire movie, is that idea of what are these people doing? What is their intention? For whatever reason, you may like or dislike the character, but you have no idea why they're doing something. There's about each one of it has a split
Did you
personality.
actually see it?
I did. That's
Oh.
my secret for you.
Oh,
My
there
top movie changed
Oh, okay. So
based
I liked,
off of this.
So at one point, this was my number one movie, but like I said, all my top fours were up and down, up and down. I loved it because we got Rachel Weisz, who is vicious and calculating in a way you haven't seen in her play, and
Yeah.
she kind of runs England as her best friend, because so the queen is manipulated by her to do whatever she kind of says, and because she's her only friend. But like there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where like the queen is being like stupid, and she just knocks her off a chair and throws her to the ground and kind of slaps her around a little bit. Like what are you doing? But she loves.
Would this have happened?
Okay, I don't know. Like, I don't know how historically accurate this is.
And the movie is so two-faced in the same way that all the characters are. You go, did that really happen, or was this part of the comedy drama that this movie is?
It's a dark comedy. So that's the scenario we set up with, and then Emma Stone shows up as a long lost cousin of Rachel Weisz, and like Rachel Weisz knows her father, who basically lost her in a card game to a German man, and was sold became like her. She supposed to be his wife or just her live-in prostitute? It was really weird.
They never quite explained.
Except that they explained him fucking her, basically. They talk about that.
Yeah, they purposely left some things very shallow.
So, and basically this German man dies, so now she has no title because she was a lady, but now she's not, so she's a peasant. So she just gets a letter from her aunt saying, like, we vouch for her that she is a good person. She goes to find her cousin who's living at the court, and one of the best things, she gets out of the first carriage ride, she falls right into mud that's covered in shit. So she's covered in shit. Going up to bring her a letter. Hey, I'm your cousin. Please employ me. And then she makes her be like a servant right away. She makes her work in the kitchen. What's so great with this movie in general? It's the same director who did The Lobster. Anyone see The Lobster? Mm-hmm. He also did another movie. Right now. It's The Lobster.
Strange movie.
What?
Strange movie.
Super strange movie. He did The Lobster, and he also did Killing the Sacred Deer, which came out last year. He does these strange movies, but they are. The cinematography is gorgeous. The sets are gorgeous. The costumes are gorgeous. It feels so real. Did you ever see the movie Marie Antoinette, Joe? With with Jason Schwartzman and
with Kirsten Dunst.
The visuals look like that, but with way better acting and story. Like it's got this weird, almost glossy look to it, but a dirty underbelly. Like it's kind of weird.
I went into it, and Matt, you had hyped it up, so I was so scared that I was not going to like it because it was so hyped up. And I went in and I was like, it's a comedy? What the heck is this? And the writing in it is so quick-witted and so smart that they've created these characters that can get away with jokes that you normally can't get away with in movies, especially movies of that time period. I mean, they
say some horrible things.
I mean, they make a lot of jokes about the fact that Emma Stone was raped, but it's done in a way that very much recognizes like this terrible thing that she's done.
But also like it's also a time period where you could rape women and be okay with this. Like that's why it works. Like that's not a thing that was like that just happened. Like women just got raped and you just had to deal with it. You know, like because it's that time frame where women were they were commodities. They were so they're making jokes about it. Like it's the weird Kobe mechanism of the women like talking to each other. Like this is just what happens.
And it felt realistic, and it also every joke in the movie progressed the plot in some way.
Every time.
And so it was so smart in the way that it did this. It took all of these topics and all of these ideals. I mean, just like slapping the queen, but that progresses the plot. All these things that are just absolutely ridiculous, terrible, could not actually ever work in any other movie, but it was done in a way that it works and shows you exactly what those jokes are and what the purpose of and all of that is.
Are we going to spoil this, sir? I mean, I feel like...
Well, I mean, what is there to spoil?
Well, I mean, so Emma Stone becomes a favor of the queen because first she's just a servant, but she knows medicinal herbs that helps her with her gout. And then first you're supposed to be like Rachel Weisz doesn't want thinks she might be like harming the queen. She's gonna have her whipped, and she realizes that she helped her, so she makes her like her personal servant. And because Rachel Weisz is spending too much time running the country, the queen and her become friends. And at one point, though, spoilers if you want to know the spoilers of the movie, like she oversees the fact that these two women are lovers and they're together.
Yeah,
that's kind of hinted at in the trailer.
But the thing is, Emma Stone, I was expecting subtext. I was not expecting like them just go for it. They fucking just go head on into it.
I mean, yeah, and it's done with a pretext of like, oh, like help me heal my legs, and that's what that's supposed to mean.
Yeah.
But you see the dynamic between Rachel Weisz and the Queen, and kind of like their relationship. She slaps Queen Anne, and they're getting in a fight, and then all of a sudden they're fucking like they're that it's all of a sudden this.
Is there mud? I'm kidding.
No. But so Emma
no,
Stone,
not. But I was like, there might have been.
Here's my question: like, you saw the movie,
yeah.
So that scene where Emma Stone basically tells Rachel Weisz, "I would never betray," because like Nicholas Hoult is trying always to make her betray them. He wants to be their spy. She says, "I'm loyal to you. I'll keep all your secrets." And like Rachel Weisz fake shoots her, like kind of scares her. Because they're constantly shooting like birds, like they'll say like skeet shooting, they put like pigeons out, they kill them, which were these great scenes. Yes.
Rachel Weisz was just
you
iconic
think-
in this lavish dress, shooting these birds, and then it's part of the comedy is this guy, they go throw, and this guy is throwing pigeons into the air. You know, you're used to like the machines,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you realize some guy is throwing birds into the air, and
And then when
funny.
Emma Stone shoots the bird way too quick and gets blood all over, that's great.
I mean, so many
But my
parts of
question
that
for
that
you
are
was,
funny.
did you think Emma Stone at that point was still trying to be loyal, or she always had this like machinations? I feel like at that point, if Rachel Weisz went out and freaked the hell out and kind of, she basically wants to put her in her place. Hey, you don't know anything. This is my world. You're my servant. I don't think she would have gone and seduced the queen. That's the whole point. She seduces the queen too. So there's this weird love triangle between the three of them.
Well, I think
What was the other Rachel Weisz?
disobedience.
Disobedience.
Yeah. Okay.
Not
Yeah,
great. Yeah.
movie. But to me, her intention was originally just went to the castle. She's trying to just kind of make a name
To
for
survive.
herself enough to
'Cause she's trying to
survive.
seduce that guy right away. The whole time she's trying to get
Yeah.
the guy. She makes this like lord kind of by playing hard to get and playing weirdly like almost
Violent?
like a dominant. Like he's a guy that likes to hit smack around a little bit. Like he likes to be kind of dominated, and she dominates him, but like playfully in this weird way. This movie's really smart. I don't want. We could talk about this all day. We got to wrap this up, but. The ending. I'm not gonna give away the ending, but like, did you get the ending? What did you feel with the ending?
I got the ending. I don't.
Did you
I mean, that was the only way to end it.
Yeah, it was so crazy.
There was no way to like make somebody win or make somebody lose. There was no way to like give any sort of
Like,
credit
resolution.
to any character. You know, in the way it
'Cause no
discredited
one's-
every character in the ending.
No one's good in this movie. They're all bad
Yeah.
people.
Nobody
But
wins.
But it's dark and it's funny. And I will say, I said before in the last podcast, the scene early on where she's telling Nicholas Hoult that she's not going to spy, and he just shoves her off a hill. Made me laugh so hard. He's like, I'm not gonna. I'll never. Oh, that's good. And he just looks and just pushes her, and she just rolls down this hill. It's really.
So is
funny.
it like Monty Python humor?
No. It's much more cleaner and cynical. Like it's like I'm trying to think of a movie that's like it. It's hard to explain.
I have never seen anything like it. It was so unique.
original and unique. It's hard to explain what's even remotely like dark comedy, but like it's so much like a drama.
It almost feels like a Seth Rogen or James Franco movie. Like there's a scene where they're dancing, and the dance goes from this lovely waltz, and all of a sudden it's just turning into these weird moves, and it's ridiculous, and it goes on, and you're just laughing.
Here's if Baz Luhrmann, who did like the Romeo and Juliet movies, directed a Seth Rogen movie. Like it's like this weird cross between that movie. Like
Yeah,
has
like
this-
it had almost a Great Gatsby feel, which
Yeah.
was Baz Luhrmann's last one. That you're just like, oh, what is this grandiose reason? Like, there's no reason for some of like what they're doing in that
the
movie.
scene where they're
but
just throwing tomatoes at a naked man. I laughed so
I could
hard.
not figure out what symbolism they were getting at. And I was
think he
like,
just wanted to
finally
do
was
it.
like, they just wanted to do this.
Yeah, like he's like a jester basically. So there are all these guys who are just taking tomatoes, just throwing at this guy. It's so weird, but it's really good. I'm sorry, I can talk about this movie all day. I love it.
Yeah, no, same. Okay.
Joe, what was your number 3?
I have to check it out. Oh wow, I don't think I can compare. I was gonna say Infinity War, but
Oh, we were talking about that.
yeah,
Okay.
we all know about
So
that.
it was fantastic. Molly, what was your number 3?
My number 3 was Tully, written by Diablo Cody, directed by Jason Reitman. So we got to see the Juno team crew up again.
Two of my favorite writers, like one of my favorite writers and one of my favorite directors. I was okay. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, so Charlize Theron plays basically just a mom who's kind of sick of being a mom. You know, she's dealing with the diapers and the wiles of childhood day in, day out. And her brother, who is played by, I think, Mark Duplass.
It is Mark Duplass, yes.
Yes. It's played by Mark Duplass. He comes and says, hey, you know they have these things called night nannies that let you get sleep. This night nanny comes in and basically just takes care of your kids during the night. And she's like, no, I'm not going to call. I'm not going to call and have this done. Well, she calls and gets a night nanny, and this night nanny kind of changes her life. You know, she's this young girl out of college and, you know, takes care of the kids, but she's also taking care of the mom and helping this mom kind of see like life through a different lens, and seeing in the mom, Charlize Theron, was basically going, I remember when I was like you. I used to be so like you. I got to live my life. And so at one point they go out to a bar and they're drinking together. And then at one point, like the young girl is like, we can spice up your sex life. We can give you a sex life. What's like a fantasy your husband's ever had, and you can dress up. And then you kind of get this weird scene of like the younger girl kind of dressing up in the same way. But you both see them kind of learn from each other, and then there's a giant twist at the end that I did not see coming, and I see twists, I see turns. There was actually a couple of them. But Mackenzie Davis plays the younger, her name is Tully, the younger girl, and she is from San Junipero, the Black Mirror episode that got crazy amount of Emmys. So she was really good. Charlize Theron was really good. I could see her getting nominated for something.
I guess. I mean, I was really excited because I loved their last team up when did you see Young Adult?
Yes, but I don't really remember it. I watched it when
That's
I was.
where she plays young adult YA books, and she's a terrible person. Goes back for her high school reunion.
It's literally sitting in my room
It's on my-
that you gave me to watch. So along with Cabin in the Woods and Up in the Air.
So, and I love Jason Reitman. I mean, he did Up in the Air, did Juno, did Thank You for Smoking, did Young Adult. He just announced that he's doing Ghostbusters 3. I'm really excited.
I was gonna say Ghostbusters 3.
Did you see this?
I saw it. I've seen it since we talked.
Oh, so you've seen it very recently.
Yes, I just saw it like 2 days ago.
Okay.
I did like it a lot. It felt like it was missing. Wrong. The twist I did not see coming, which made it better for me. Because I feel like there was a lot of the movie where I was like, okay, I see this movie.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I like the dialogue because Koba,
That's Diablo Cody. She's Queen of Dialogue.
Queen of Dialogue. And I liked a lot of it. Like, I don't know. It was just like, it was like, I wish those twists came earlier. And I wish I could have saw the aftermath after that. Like, I wish I could have saw.
There's an argument for that.
And
there's.
I'm not wrong. It was a fine movie. I liked it a lot. It
Yeah.
was just I don't know if it make my list, but it was like I want to maybe see it again because I saw it late at night on I went on iTunes and got it.
Yeah.
And I watched it pretty late. It was like 3 in the morning. It was pretty late.
Oh, that's
So, like,
a great time to watch
yeah,
that movie.
and I was like, so I was
the scenes with the
yeah,
mermaids.
Yes. So I want to watch it again. But I did like it a lot. Yes, and I love. I mean, Charlize Theron is just so talented. It's fantastic.
She is, and one of my all-time favorite movies is Juno. So you can say that I'm biased in putting this on on my top 3, but it felt like one of the few original scripts that we see, and it was so original. And for me and Matt not to call the ending of a movie is pretty impressive.
I do like that. I like the originality. I'll give that. It's fantastic. It didn't make my list, but like it's in my top 20 of the year for sure.
Yeah.
And actually, I saw it the night I left your house. I went even later. It was so late in the night. I went home because you were so adamant how great that movie was. Like, I'm gonna go see this movie.
I left the party in my own house early and relied on my roommates. I was like, "You take care of everybody that's drunk, and you gotta get home," and left to go to bed early. And you went home and watched a movie.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
I'm sorry.
I'm clearly lame or something.
No. We were drinking. I don't know. I just wanted to watch it. We kept talking it up. So I was like, it's very, very, very good.
I enjoyed it, and there's reasons to say that, like, what the heck is it doing on your top 3? But I enjoyed it, and that to me was one of the criteria was I have to just enjoy the movie. I don't want to have to sit there and face reality, and I was very much taken out of reality at the time.
And that's the point of a movie.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say
Not this year apparently.
Yeah. My number. Okay. I literally have been changing my 1 and 2 back and forth all day, and I'm gonna stick with my gut. You know, it's crazy. So my number 2 is Green Book. Is anyone seen Green Book here besides me?
No, I know about it. Viggo Mortensen.
Viggo Mortensen and the actor, and I screw his name every time. He's from Moonlight and won the Oscar for that, and he's in the new series of True Detective. It's based on a true story. Basically, Dr. Shirley Sobley. Are you looking out for me, Molly?
No.
I heard it's wonderful.
Basically, the greatest piano player of the 50s is this black man who lived in an apartment above Carnegie Hall, and he's a virtuoso in every sense of the word. He was, as an 11-year-old, got sent to Austria to study there, to play the piano, classically trained. He has 3 doctorates in music, psychology, I think language. He's fantastic. What's the name of the guy? You got it for me?
Viggo Mortensen?
No, the black.
No, yeah.
Oh, Mahershala Ali.
And what's his character's name? It's Dr.
Don Shirley?
Don Shirley, yes. But he's always Dr. Shirley. So basically, he wants to do a tour of the South because he's a very popular piano player. He's done like his own original stuff, which was not classical, which was what he wants to play, but it's like jazz class because it's his own original, and he needs a driver. And so Viggo Mortensen plays Tony Lip, who is mafia adjacent. He works as security at the Copacabana, the famous Copacabana. Like he does that there, and a lot of the mafia guys know him. And he's called Tony Lip because he's the best bullshitter in New York, kind of deal. And he lives in Brooklyn, and he just like stays away from crime. He could join that world if we want. But he does like kind of like weird half scams, whatever, to make ends meet. But the Copa gets shut down for renovations one summer, and he just needs money to pay rent. So when this job for a driver come along, because he has to be driven through the South where he's not allowed to drive, and he needs not only does he need a driver, he needs some. Looks like any driver, but they need someone who also could, if the shit kind of gets real and he's able to handle himself. So this kind of like Italian dude who can kind of got like his like street smarts is kind of the perfect fit for these two. So like there's one car with the band members and then him and these two are on a drive through the South for 9 weeks, hitting up all these different places in the South, just performing. And it's like their weird interactions from that moment. The wife is played by Linda Carlotta. I forget her name. She was from the ER, and she's been in a bunch of stuff.
Linda Cardellini.
Who is severely underrated. Every time I see her in anything, she's so good. And she plays the wife at home who is like kind of like the weird rock of the family. And like there's this really great scene.
She's in Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah. She's there's a weird scene in the beginning where you guys over like this Viggo Mortensen is kind of racist, where he has workers come to his house to fix like the dishwasher, not dishwasher, or some like piece of appliance. I forget what it was. Maybe that's just the plumbing. And the wife gives them food and drink. Like, oh, you're working hard. Here's some lemonade and here's some sandwiches. Like he throws the dishes in the garbage because they touched it. You know, like that's where he's starting at. Because he's like kind of like an old school Italian guy.
So Viggo Mortensen did that?
Yes.
Oh wow.
And then like the wife's like, "Are you crazy? Like what's going on?" Like, but then he gets in this car with this guy. Like he's not big enough to like not take this guy's money. Like it's really good money. He needs the money, and so a lot of this movie. There's a lot of social, political, like moments when we were about race and about just being queer. Like there's also this character is gay, I guess we would say, but he had a wife at one point, so he's whatever you want to call him, but he's in that movie, and there's all these relations between the two. But
why do we use the word queer anymore?
Because if I don't know the term what he is, I just say queer.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's an umbrella term.
Queer
it's kind of like gay,
expresses different.
It's if you're in the spectrum somewhere.
Okay, well that's a different.
Because I don't know like everything with this guy's life, if he's bi or gay, but like he definitely had a wife. He definitely was having sex with men, and so like it's in before, but it's a lot of the movie is them in their car, and it's funny. It has these big moments of these like emotional moments, but most of the movie is a funny movie. It's actually directed by Peter Farrelly, who did Dumb and Dumber, Something About Mary, Kingpin. He's done only comedies. It's like the first thing I've ever seen him do drama. He does like all those dumb comedy movies, and he does this movie where a lot of the movies just them in a car interacting, and these are real stories. Like these two people become best friends.
Like Driving Miss Daisy.
Yes, to a point. Like this person, Dr. Shirley, he's never had fried chicken. He's a black man who's never fried chicken, and they're in Kentucky. He makes him eat fried chicken. Like you got to have fried chicken. Where it's the original KFC, and he doesn't even know how to eat it. Like you just eat your hands. Like there's all these kind of fish out of water moments for both of them, because like this guy's super fancy and he's cultured, and he takes him to certain places where he doesn't. Where this Italian guy, like there's this great scene where they go to this really fancy palatial estate. And I think in North Carolina, where like it's the fancy of this whole area, where there's like they're having like hors d'oeuvres, and he feels out of place. He's actually in the back with all the servants playing dice, why the other characters on there playing the piano. So it's this weird relation of the two of them. Just it's a road trip buddy comedy at heart with really dramatic social undertones. There's a great scene where he kind of hates himself because he doesn't like he doesn't fit anywhere. It's a big part of the movie is he doesn't fit anywhere. Like he's not black enough to be black. He's not white enough to be white. He doesn't bond with his own culture because he's raised like in Europe and like kind of stuff like that. So he goes to go get a drink in this bar in Kentucky, and they're gonna lynch him. It's gonna happen. And Viggo Mortensen realizes he's not in his thing. He realizes he left, and he goes finds him and gets him out of there. Like that kind of stuff. Like this like he saves his butt a bunch of times. At the same time, like he can't like write to his wife. Like he's not very smart. He barely write. He teaches him how to write like poetry to her. Like there's this weird friendship that happens with these two people who should not even be in the same room together, and they became friends in real life, lifelong friends. They both passed away in 2013, and they stayed friends they never stopped were friends. Like, and they could not be more different. But at the same time, like, yeah, like there's the great scene where he gets arrested for going to a YMCA and hooking with the men, and like in that state, it's sodomy is illegal. They're gonna arrest them, and like the guy like he goes him out. He just like he's I don't care what you do. Like he for a guy who was very bigoted at the beginning of the movie, he kind of accepts him real quick because he likes him. He just likes him as a person. He's like, well, I have all these beliefs. Like I don't like black people, I don't like gay people, but like I like you. And it kind of changes the world in a weird way. He's like, oh, well, if I like you, maybe I've been just thinking about everything wrong this whole time. So it's a really weird thing. Mostly because he's blown away by his music, his talent, like how fantastic he is.
I'm really excited to see this. It's on my list to see this week. We'll see if I actually make it to it. But for two reasons. One, I just want to see the storyline. I think it looks great. Well, three reasons. Two, Mahershala Ali. He was in Moonlight, and he was incredible. I've never seen him not do something just completely jaw-dropping.
His physical change, like he loses a ton of weight for this role. Like he's this really frail man, and he just is so believable. It's so...
I'm very excited. And then also, Viggo Mortensen, I had never really seen anything with him in it that notably that I knew was him until I watched, I think it was last year, Captain Fantastic.
Oh, okay.
And I loved that movie. I loved him, so I'm excited to see him do something else and see him something kind of different.
Did you ever see Eastern Promises with him?
No.
That's what's the name of the director? He did The Fly.
David Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg was so he did a few movies in the early 2000s where it was not crazy with Viggo Mortensen. He did Eastern Promises, The History of Violence, or all these small indie dark films, and they just announced they're making a sequel to it. It's this great Russian mafia movie where Viggo Mortensen plays. You think he's just like ruining up the ranks of the Russian mafia, but you realize half of the movie he's actually an undercover cop who's like been in deep cover for years. Like he's all tatted up. It's the most vicious murder in a bathhouse you'll ever see in your life. Just knives and dicks everywhere. It's all out there.
You said murder scenes in a bathroom, and I remembered Crimson Peak.
Oh, yeah.
You go in this room is like real green and yellow, and I'm going, oh, someone's about to get murdered. There's going to play red blood everywhere, and they did, and it was great.
Yeah.
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah. All right, so that was my number 3. We got to keep moving. Joe, what was your number? Your number 2. What was your number 2?
Oh, wow. Long talk.
I'm sorry.
Black Panther. No, that's cool. Black Panther, loved it. Different as a superhero movie, much less superhero, more like epic, combat, stuff like that.
So Black Panther's on my list, but I'll say right now, if it's between this and Avengers, Black Panther's a far superior movie. It's way better movie-wise. I just like the Avenger movie better, but you're not wrong. It's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Also, I couldn't judge having 3 comic movies on my list. That was a real problem. I asked Dylan a bunch about it. I was like, I can't put 3 comic movies on my list.
You
I actually was trying to avoid comic movies,
Yeah.
like on my combat movies.
But there's good ones this year. Even Deadpool 2. The second Ant-Man movie was great. There's a lot of really good comic movies.
I'm going to throw in real quick before you go into it. That plagues Hollywood to me is there's a spot for one blockbuster film at the Oscars, or there's a spot for one movie about this. And so, like, to me, I'm like, put all the comic book movies you want, because, like, I think there's a place for them. Like, last year, the kind of weird one that was in there was Get Out, and I was like, there were other movies that were just as good as Get Out, but because it took the kind of the spot at the Oscars for the weird one. So I'm all for just throwing all of that away, being like, nah, comic book movies all over the list.
So they're not going to do that. Like, they announced they were going to do that thing at the Oscars in 2020, where it's going to be like the most popular movie. It was good. There was a new category. Like they announced this like months ago. Like it'll be the best picture and the best popular movie. And the backlash was so harsh that they already said they're not going to do it. So that was going to be 2020. Because the outrage and Wonder Woman getting nominated. Like that was like.
Wonder Woman should have been nominated wholeheartedly.
It goes back to the fact.
Should have been. Yeah.
It goes back to the fact that the Dark Knight didn't win. Dark Knight won 9 Oscars, and they didn't even win best.
No,
that's crazy. Like it's since then.
So there's several movies that I didn't see that I would like to, that I think should have made this list. First Man, about the landing.
Didn't
on the
get to that either.
I did not care for it.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't. You saw it.
It's how. I'm trying to think of an equivalent movie where it's technically flawless. It's a good movie, but like it's one like we saw. I see the movie and I walk on it. It's done. Like I didn't like it, within a day. I forgot about it. It was just like, oh, okay. Like it just didn't have. I don't know. It just didn't. It's the weird problem where the fact that it's a true story kind of hinders it, because there's no salvation in him. He is just a good sturdy American who just wants to do his job. Like there's no.
How dare he be?
Yeah,
just
like
he's a
he's a boring actual person. He did an amazing thing, and we've seen that in The Right Stuff and Apollo 13. We've seen what it is to go to space, so like we know what that journey is. Like if this is gonna work, we should have it should have had some interesting backstory about him. But like it was like, oh, he's just a boring dude who's great at being a brave American hero, but like it didn't have like this. So, like, but at the same time, flawless made movie. It was acted and directed, and the visuals were great. But I just didn't, like it was like I didn't really see that. I didn't learn anything from this movie that I didn't know in a history book.
Sicario.
The second one, I did not see it. The first one was fantastic. The Day of the Dead one, I did not see the sequel to it.
A Star Is Born.
I did not see that.
Good. Yeah. I loved it, and it didn't make my list for a couple reasons, but the acting was phenomenal. I wholeheartedly back Lady Gaga as getting nominated and winning an Oscar. Even though I think there's some other people that have come up recently as better actresses, perhaps in their roles this year.
Well, they were talking about there's a good chance that all three main characters in The Favorite will get nominated for either best supporting or best actress. They're saying because they're all that great.
And they are. My problem is, like, to me, Emma Stone was the main character, and Rachel Weisz and Queen Anne should have been supporting characters, but I don't think that's necessarily everyone's opinion, and it's so subjective.
A lot of people think, actually, if I look back at it, I think Queen Anne's the main is the best actress, and I forget the actress name I looked up earlier, but because she's in almost in every scene. Like they
no,
all,
I don't know that that's true.
I mean, more than the other two, I think.
You're following Emma Stone's character. To me,
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz is the supporting actress
For sure.
For sure. Whether or not you could say that her acting stole the show, sure. But Emma Stone, you get to see those weird trances and those weird moments of like spark. That I don't think Queen Anne was written kind of the piece to like all you see is the madness. There is a softer sides at times,
scene
but
with the rabbits and her talking about that is so heartbreaking.
that is okay.
So,
True.
I don't know if that's true in real life or not, but like she has all. I know she's famous for having all these pet rabbits, but in this movie they say the reason she has all these pet rabbits, there's 18
We're
of
talking
them.
The Favorite again.
Yes.
Okay.
The reason that she has all these pet rabbits is because there's one for all of her miscarriages. She's like 18 miscarriages or stillborn babies, and that's why so you don't know if she's mad because she's mad or she's mad because she had 18 miscarriages. Like because it doesn't know she's mad. It's just she's just unbelievably sad. Like that's what it seems like. Like
this is Anne Boleyn, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true historically. I knew about her and rabbits. I know like just pictures of her in my history.
Is it Anne Boleyn?
It's
I'm not sure.
Queen Anne.
Okay.
Because Anne Boleyn got her beheaded. Yes.
Who knows?
No, I was just asking. I don't know.
No,
That's
I don't
why
know.
I was asking.
So
I
okay,
was just
let's rewind here a little bit. So Joe, you like Black Panther, right?
Yes.
So
You speak.
I talk about Black Panther. I mean, it's fantastic. Give it its due. What did you love most about Black Panther?
Oh well, most superhero movies revolve around like the supernatural. This seemed to, or the unnatural talent. Except for the leader of Wakanda's suit. I mean, it revolved around more realistic terms.
I mean, he does have a magic herb that makes him super strong and fast. But,
well, that's true. Yeah.
I get that. Like I loved so much about this movie is it's Shakespearean. I mean, this is Hamlet. This is King Lear. It's all those things you want to see in that. In all the other.
Whoa. We got another movie that you're telling me is a Shakespeare.
No. I'm just saying it's those. I mean, that's the type of movie it is.
Okay, because
it's
that would be 2 in a week that you've told me. One of my a great movie that I loved is actually just Shakespeare rewritten.
Yeah, she loved the movie Savages. Did you ever see Savages by Oliver Stone?
No.
No. I did not love the movie. I loved the book, and the movie was fine.
But I said, well, it's because it's Othello. I mean, that's why the main character is called O. Like that's what it is. And I blew Molly's brain. She's like, what?
My little high school brain, when I read this, could not comprehend that. Anyway.
I was like, either way. So I love Black Panther because in most of the comic movies, especially in the origin movies, there's an internal flaw that they overcome with. And don't know, he has a flaw, but it's like it's Robert Downey Jr. is his greed, Thor is his pride, and they also have like it's all about their journey. And in their journey to become a hero, and in Black Panther, he already is a hero. It's his journey to be a leader, to be a king in the right sense. We're not a king like we think, or like to be like a president that we looked at, like a leader of a nation. Power is thrust upon him, and he doesn't know if he wants to be that person. We already met him in Civil War, and you know that he's a hero. He spared the life of the man who killed his father because it was wrong. Like he doesn't need the hero's journey to become the hero. He's that guy. It's hero plus. Like Captain America might be a goddamn hero, but he's not running a country. He's not making the tough decisions, you know. And even if he did it, who knows if he could do it. Robert Downey Jr. is not like he won't even, you know, they're out for the mission. This guy's out for a nation, and that's a very different story for comic books. I feel like that's why it works.
I agree.
Anything else?
I didn't really have a counterpoint to that.
Oh, anything else? I mean,
no, I don't know. A lot of people really like the character of Killmonger.
Yeah, he's a great villain.
Yeah, and I think we talked about this in a previous podcast.
That's fine. We can stay back up. Yeah,
okay. I didn't really think it was much of a stretch.
For the actor?
Yeah.
No, because Michael B. Jordan's so good. And we've seen him be that kind of person, but I feel like
as the character, I mean, he portrays himself as a traditional person that, you know, grew up on the wrong side of the tracks, and then all of a sudden,
about him is like he's so I'm saying not a stretch where you can get his point of view, like you can why people would follow him too, like you get why he is a villain. That's the best villains are right up to the edge of heroes. Like that's why Magneto in the comics is so great because he's literally just one not bad day be on the other side of being a hero. Like that's why I think he works, you know?
I guess I would have liked like more conflict with him. He didn't have like, okay, this is his like thing and this is what he's doing. You know what I mean?
His whole thing is like we have the might and we have superior morality, at least he thinks so. We're going to put it on the world. I mean, he's going to basically not conquer the world, but enforce the world to do it. Like, it's like, why are we not out there just taking over everything? So like, and his point of view, it's like, not because we want power, because we know what's right. I mean, that's the type of villain, which is usually the best when they like Thanos works because he thinks he's doing the right thing. Killmonger thinks he's doing the right thing. Villains who just are villains to be villains, either by greed or by being a psychopath, are scary. Like the Joker's scary because he's just a force of nature, but they don't have the same type of like hit because you can't ever be the Joker. Like you can't be the person who's like who wants to be the Hurricane. You know, like Killmonger works, I think, for most people because you can get that.
Well, even the Joker was like a multi-dimensional character. I just felt like Killmonger would have been more effective to be more like less one-dimensional.
I get I always say the opposite. I think Killmonger is multi-dimensional. Like he has I have his birthright has been taken from me. I've had to work for it. He sees his counterpoint, which is the Black Panther, and he's been handed everything. I've had to work from the ground up. I've been an orphan. I've been a soldier, and I'm working my way up, and I'm smarter than you because I already made you like fall into my trap, and I also feel like I'm smarter in the way that I should run this country. Like we're gonna change the world. Like he sees what's been happening to him as a wrong, and there's so many people like him. Like I think he really thinks there's people like him in the world who are being subjugated, and he's gonna be a revolutionary. I think that's what's so great about him, you know. And damn the people he kills in the process. He's gonna burn the world and remake it in the image it should be.
Kind of like Adolf Hitler.
Yes, I'm saying like it works in that way for that reason. Like that's why it works. I mean, I wouldn't go Hitler, but I'm saying like no one thinks they're a villain, and he doesn't definitely think he's a villain. He thinks he's doing the right thing. I mean, that's my point of view for Black Panther.
No, I can accept that. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Okay, Molly, you got your number 2?
Yeah, just a little note on Black Panther. I had trouble with, I can't find his name. I'm not great at pronouncing Daniel Kaluuya.
Oh, the guy from
Get Out.
Yeah.
I had such a problem seeing him as kind of he turns into this like he sides with Killmonger at the end, as kind of the bad guy.
Which is funny because I liked him last week. He was by far the weakest thing in the acting. I liked Duke Winston as the primal tribe out there.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem I had because I was like, it's so hard to see him as a villain. I think that was part of it. Is his acting just fell a little flat.
He didn't because he makes that turn where he turns on his wife basically and his best friend, and doesn't have like you don't see the struggle. He just does it. And like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this now. Like out of like revenge for my parents.
That's what I was looking for with Killmonger. More of the struggle, like I know this is what I want to do, but I feel like
I felt this rage.
There's internal torment.
I feel like the factor why he. Okay, let's back to because the hero's journey in this one is not a traditional hero's journey. Black Panther is conflicted in what it is to be a leader, right? He doesn't have that. He has the confliction. Killmonger, for whatever reason, of who he is, has rage and conviction. He is one mind of this is what's going to happen, and he doesn't have this confliction that why Black Panther loses initially, because he doesn't have the conviction is what it is, like making the decision and following through because you know what's right. And when you are a person of power like that, you kind of gotta have to do that. You have to be not conflicted. You have to just, for whatever it is, you have to follow the path that you set down and hope that you are smart enough and wise enough to do it. And Black Panther doesn't. He's fighting it at the time. He doesn't know what he was, because he wasn't ready for his father to die. He wasn't ready to be the mantle bestowed on him. And it's power thrust upon you, power taken. Whatever reason works. I mean, there's small.
But the
parts.
thing that makes Black Panther sympathetic is that he has that.
No. I get that. I'm saying that's what works for. That's why he's the hero. Yeah. But I'm saying that's why I like Killmonger as the villain, because he is, at the very least, focused. So.
Yeah, I mean, but what I was saying was that Daniel Kaluuya, and then you see him in Widows, and he plays this villain, and I kind of love him as a villain, and it showed me his range, because we get him in Get Out where he's completely naive, and then you kind of get this weird middle with Black Panther, and then you go and see him in Widows, and I just loved that evolution of him. My second one, and my first and second are so interchangeable that I'm sitting here flipping them around currently in my head. I'm just going to go with the favorite.
Your favorite?
We're not going to talk about it again.
We keep bringing it up. And with things, we talked about it in the last episode too, so we've talked about the favorite a lot.
Yes, so we're going to move on. That was my number 2.
So my number 1, which is on no one else's list, is Sorry to Bother You, which is a bizarre movie. I felt like so weird putting this as my number 1 because it's so strange. And it's very, in past years, my number 1, I can always recommend, hey, you should see Avatar. You should see The Dark Knight. Like, it's easy to be likable across the board, right? This movie is so bizarrely strange and so different that it's hard for me to tell people who are not hardcore movie fans to see, like I couldn't tell my mother to see this movie. I couldn't tell like a random person on the street, like, oh, you're gonna see one movie like this year, but it stuck with me. It hit me so hard that it never left. So the movie is, and the person who made it is not like, he doesn't make a lot of, like, this is his first like directorial debut. It's so strange. It's hard to sum up. Okay. So it takes place in an alternate version of our reality, right? So it's still it's our time, and the world is close to what we are, but it's not the same. Basically, there's this one character that's played by, his name's Cash, and it's his life. He lost his job. He's got fired. It's just really great, and he's got a girlfriend played by Tessa Thompson, who's an artist, and he's got some best friends, but he's looking for just anything. Like, the idea is it takes place in Oakland, and like the world is a little rough. Like, it's really hard to find jobs. And there's multiple things happening in the background at all times. You're kind of being like peppered through like news reports and things going on. But the things you need to know right away is there's a massive company, and I forget the name of it, but Armie Hammer is the CEO of it. And they basically, because the workforce in America is so bad, is like there's no jobs, is if you go up to this company and sign away your lifetime contract to work for this company, they'll give you room, board, and food for the rest of your life. But basically, they're selling us like, oh, we're helping America because there's so much poverty. But really, you are voluntarily signing up for slavery. And it's being sold to you in a packaged way like you would have like anything that happens in American politics, where you are meant to believe that it's not, but it is. There's a whole group of people who are like kind of like protesting it, but the mass people are just accepting it, right? At the same time, so this character is aware of this situation, but he's not really paying too much attention to it. He has a job telemarketing, selling encyclopedias. And the movie is strange, almost like in a way like a Wes Anderson movie is, where things happen strangely. Like one room, like the conference room has like rain falling. It just happens where bad things happen, right?
It almost sounds like Brazil.
But more so. Brazil on fucking steroids in a way that you can't. Okay. Yes, Brazil's close, but it's so, because not only does it have like the weird storyline, it has like this weird like artistic thing in every scene where things happen there strangely. So he's not doing a good job there. He runs into Donald Glover from Lethal Weapon, who's an older man. He tells him you can't be just calling people up and asking for to sell. You need to use a white voice. They can tell that you're black.
Oh, I think I heard of this. Yes.
So when he starts using his white voice, he's David Cross. His voice coming on the phone, like he's selling his product to and he's doing a great job. He's making sale after sale after sale. He's having a great time. He's making more money. He keeps saying, if you keep doing this, you'll become a power caller. Power caller. So they're at a whole other level of this building. They're so much better to be a power caller. So he eventually gets so good he becomes a power caller. and there's another black man there who has a weird eye patch for some reason. He has another white face. I think it's played by Patton Oswalt, who's the voice for him. And they go up to the thing, and he doesn't even know what they're selling, but they're selling something. It's like, there's a golden elevator that takes him up there, and while he's going up for his first day being a power caller, the elevator's got a computer's talk to him, and it's just saying, things are so bizarre where it's like, I hope, just so you know, you're an amazing man and we love what you like. She's giving affirmations, and at one point it gets so bizarre. He goes, I hope you didn't masturbate because we need your most virile and potent self to sell everything as a power caller. Like, there's a lot of weird scenarios like that keep happening there. Like, there's one scene where he goes by fancy whiskey, it's inside the other whiskey, basically saying it's the same booze, it's all about the presentation kind of deal. And he gets there, and what they're selling is slaves, and he doesn't want to sell these people that this company is happening. But they sell like soldiers and slaves to other countries. But then they show him his money, and it's like $10 million. Like, and he doesn't care. Like he just sells out his own people. I mean, anyone, humans, to do this. And there's this weird scenario of him like still trying to be one of the people. Because all his friends are still lower, and his girlfriend's on there. And Stephen Young from who is Glenn from The Walking Dead is in there, and he's trying to basically like make a labor union and stop this from happening, get rights and like that. And he's just out there making money. I can't give any more of the story away because something happens halfway through the movie that's so bizarre. It's so strange that if I told you what it was, you immediately would say, this is the fucking dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I will not watch this movie. But this movie is so crazy, like a frog boiling in water. When you get to that point, you just go with it. It just goes, and the whole movie. The point of the movie is there's a lot of points about race in America. There's a lot of points about corporations. There's a lot of like taking what corporations do and like in first government. But the biggest point they try to make more than anything is about America is our apathy. The idea is these horrible things keep happening in this world, and this whole movie is surrounded by horrible things happening that we were just used to because like we're too busy trying to just pay our rent, and we're just trying to do our thing. And it's funny, it's dark, but we are. Just if you told everyone in America what's going on right now politically in America 20 years ago, there would be a revolution. So the idea is like the thought of this director is like something needs to happen in America, like in this movie, that is so jarring. It's so bananas that it will wake people up from their haze of just being, it's better to go along than actually put up a fight. And even in the movie, when this thing happens and they show people evidence that we're doing these monstrous things, they're like, well, really? They try to make them celebrities out of it. I don't want to read too much, but it's this thing happens that is so crazy. The idea of like if we want to make real change, we have to not placate to what's going on in the world. And it's got so many different moralities. So there's a lot of like little tiny things about race and the way white and black people interact there, but also like gender and like it's just so many things in this movie.
Here's my story with this movie.
It's so good. It's so weird and jarring. I saw this movie I saw it back to back with Won't You Be My Neighbor back in like March or February. It's still the movie that's hit me the hardest.
Again, one I wanted to see, just never got to, but I have supposed to have gone and seen this at least 10 times. I was supposed to see it like twice in theaters and then just didn't make it. I have then scheduled times with Matt to go see it. I have scheduled times with my friend Keegan at least 3 times to go see it. I just have not. I sat down today because I knew we were going to do this podcast tonight. I was like, I got to see it. I bought the movie, sit down to watch it. A friend of mine walks in and he goes, what are you watching? I was like, oh, sorry to bother you. He goes, oh, I'll sit down and watch it. I fall asleep 10 minutes into the movie. I wake up to him going, the heck was that? Why did you make me watch that? I was like, I fell asleep. I don't even know what happened. He goes, and he starts spewing off what I'm assuming is the twist.
Oh, he gave you the twist?
No, because I don't know, because it was so ridiculous that I was like,
how ridiculous? Oh, don't tell me off mic. I'll tell you.
I was like, and I went,
because it's one of these movies like
well,
sometimes you give a spoiler when you still do it.
Talk about it like after I leave because I don't want to ruin the twist because I do want to see this.
Don't show Kim this movie.
Huh?
Don't show Kim this movie. She's too good of a person. You have to be kind of twisted to enjoy this movie. You have to have a kind of Joe Weber-esque mind to be like, okay, like you can't like normal people like if I would never like it's. There's so much metaphor. You got to realize everything in here is a metaphor for something else. Metaphor on metaphor on top. But the reason it works because it's so funny too. Like there's this great like. I don't remember. There's this great scene with him in the beginning of the movie where he's about to get kicked out of it. He lives in a garage and he's telling this person like his landlord who plays with Terry Crews, like you saw that scene, where he like doesn't know and you realize it's his uncle's. He yells, "Cash, I'm your uncle!" Like he's trying to tell him he doesn't know what he went through and what's going on. He's a sellout and like.
And he was like something about like family, and he goes, "I'm your uncle."
Like, Like you just want to be rich and you don't give a shit about your family or something like that. I'm your uncle. Like it's pretty funny. Like that's what also makes it work. It's funny and disturbing and bizarre. All the characters in it are fantastic.
I may never see this movie because the universe hates me clearly, but I look forward to seeing it on the off chance I do get to see it. Maybe just in pieces, but
Okay. Joseph, what's your number one? We gotta get going. Sorry.
Okay, moving on. My number one is Bohemian Rhapsody.
Which I just saw last week because I knew we were doing this. And I saw it was number one on your list. I had not seen it. And we both know how much I love Queen. It's one of my favorite bands. So I saw it. It's quite enjoyable.
Yep. Like a wonderful movie. We kind of hit on it on a previous.
Keep going. It's fine.
But we'll touch on it again. Just a great depiction of Freddie Mercury's life. Not totally historically accurate.
I don't feel like it's
though.
super accurate.
No. There's a lot of dramatic license done with that.
Yeah.
Specifically with the timelines that things happen. And one of the most interesting things is that I recently on I think it was Reels, cable TV show or channel, showed a biopic on Queen. And it still hit on the same topics that I feel are not quite historically accurate in the timeline. Just specifically the fact of when things started to happen with him, like with HIV and AIDS and everything else, and
which I agree with you, but like you warned me ahead of time about this. But at the same time, I feel like that was such a minor part of the movie.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And
so
it was
okay.
Like, and I will bring this back around.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I talk really loud.
No, that's fine.
it's fine. I was like, we gotta bring the mic down.
I bring this back around in that I was glad they didn't focus on that because I was glad that they focused more on the interaction between like him and the band and how it progressed.
I'm gonna say the best surprise in the movie was because it's Bohemian Rhapsody, and don't get me wrong, it's definitely about Freddie Mercury, but they give a lot of time to Queen, the band, and make it very clear that they all gave a lot of input to the creation of that music. Like there's so many different songs, and they like, no, this person did this person did that, and like it's all done through his prism of experiencing it because he's the character we follow. But man, it really gets a lot of time to the band.
Exactly. I mean, it's so easy to focus on Freddie Mercury as a person, but there was so much that everyone contributed to this nexus that was Queen the band and what they actually did. And so I was glad that they didn't focus like on just like Freddie Mercury. I mean, then just call it Freddie Mercury, So it was just really wonderful in that they were able to interweave like his whole life and personality, but they did it in the context of the band, whether or not it was historically accurate.
Yeah, I love the fact they start with him meeting the band. Like that's like they don't get too much of his before that. It's all the only interactions with all the people between his ex-wife and all that kind of stuff like that, or it's all in the rise and fall of the band of Queen.
Exactly.
And I like that. I don't wrong. There's so many things I like about it. A lot. I really do enjoy it. It was on my maybe list. But the best part of the movie, and it's kind of its downfall, and maybe the greatest part was how it ends with the Live Aid show. Which when I saw that, because was that like 20 minutes of the movie? Was just that concert? They almost show the whole concert of that.
And actually, like the Blu-ray that's coming out will show like the whole concert.
And which made me love that part of it. And then all of that was like, man, I wish I'd had more. They don't really show a lot of them performing in the movie until that point. But man, all me was like, man, I wish I'd had more of that because they were great. Like they're like those scenes were so great at the end. I mean, I guess it's a good.
What was really surprising for me, having lived through all of that, was that when Live Aid was happening, I knew about Live Aid, but the Queen performance I didn't realize was such like a big deal. I mean, like apparently this was like a major thing.
I before I saw the movie, I've heard that before. Like that was like the most money got raised. That it was the best performance of it. Like that was the centerpiece.
Yeah, and just a surprise. It's like wow. And me being a Queen fan, like, didn't even, and one of my favorite bands, didn't even know, like, that really hit. And then, of course, like 2 years or 1 year after,
I'd say like we are almost 2 years after. Yeah.
Even though he didn't confess he had AIDS until the day before he died. Actually, was just phenomenal. And I could go on and like my history with the band Queen and all this other stuff, but just like to stress on the film. Okay, the performance by Rami Malek, I mean, was deserving. He won the Golden Globe, and I felt like, wow, he had the mannerisms of Freddie Mercury like totally perfect.
He does.
It was amazing.
I don't love when they give the awards to people who like. They're wrong. It seems like all the academies like want to reward people who like when they did the Theory of Everything, where like, oh, you're a famous real person when I'm going to become you. I always find it's more and more imitation, which is technically amazing, but I do love. I wish they give more attention to original characters. You know, I'm wrong. Is phenomenal at it, and but he's probably going to win the Oscar for it. I wish. And this year I'm okay with it because there's no other real man performance this year.
The only other one I have in mind is Bradley Cooper, but that's still not a unique role.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, like
so I'd rather
this
see
year
it
I'm
go
totally
to
okay with that. But like
which is a movie I want to see.
But in previous years, like I was like, oh, really? You're giving it to that person? Because like I feel like there's something when you make something out of nothing and create that character, get that thing. But you're right. He's phenomenal.
You're right for creativity aspect. Yeah. Absolutely. One of the things that I think about, and I'll be really quick with this, with that conception is that. It's kind of like learning a dance or learning, a new talent or something. It takes a lot of work to do that.
I said technically hard as hell. Yeah. Like, don't wrong. I understand why they give that prize, and I feel like they give too much weight to it sometimes. Like, I forgot who when Eddie Redmayne won for being Stephen Hawking. But like that year, there was another actor, and I was like, man, that guy should have won. Like a few different times where like the guy who portrayed someone else gets the Oscar. I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing. They're wrong. It's impressive, but like.
And I think with Eddie Redmayne, it was the syndrome of Eddie Redmayne was kind of a darling of the Oscar already. But I loved Rami Malek's position or his portrayal. He actually started studying for the role before he was ever given the role. He was like, I really want it, so I'm going to do whatever I can to get the role. And I think you kind of saw himself get lost in it. I loved the movie. I saw this when I was just kind of off doing my own thing down in Chicago one night, and sporadically decided to go to a movie. I was sobbing in a theater by myself at the end. I didn't live through Queen. I didn't know half the things that were in this movie. What I know a lot about the AIDS crisis because I watched Angels in America when it was the stage show was released last year with Nathan Lane and Andrew Garfield, and so I was emotionally touched by the movie. And there was a movie critic part of me that was like, there were too many montages. There was too much just like
there was too many
singing.
montages, but like it's a musical.
It was fine because I completely was just like, you know what, that's totally fine because it hit such an emotional chord in so many spots, and because the acting was so great, because the story was so kind of unheard of. It all just kind of flushed into like a wonderful little movie for me.
Oh, and one disclaimer: if I mispronounced any actor's name or actress, I do apologize.
So the other thing I think for Joe, maybe you're the same boat as I am. Like, I got the movie loving almost all of it, but like, I know how much of a Queen nerd I am. That there was like 5 or 6 songs I wanted to hear, but then I went back through like the list and I had like every song they played. They played like a lot of their hits. Like, that's how, first of all, how great their catalog is. But like, I was like, oh, I wish they would have played it. Like, I was like, oh, they did play a lot of their stuff. What was yours, Joe? What did you want to see?
As a Queen fan, like when I came away from the movie, I'm like, they could have done a mini series on this. I mean, it would have been phenomenal.
On that note, every time they played a song, I was like, oh, they're already playing this song. Wow, we must be getting towards the end. And then it just kept going. I was like, no, they just have this many bangers.
Oh, and the thing is, there's songs you know that you did not hear that on that. There was a bunch. I couldn't believe I'm like, oh yeah. Either way, okay, we gotta go. This is the longest podcast ever.
Sorry.
Yeah. What's your number one?
My number one is On the Basis of Sex. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is the point where I actually tell you who she is. She's on the Supreme Court, obviously, but this story follows her as a young lawyer as she's starting out and taking on women's rights and the equality of women having the same rights as men. She takes a case that basically a man has been a caregiver for his dying mother, and he can't get the caregiver tax because he's not a woman. So she takes that case and she starts turning, the trial, and you see her not in a flawed way, but in this way of doubting herself time after time, not knowing how to come up with the legal argument, not knowing what to do in court, totally doubting herself because she's never gotten to practice law because she was a woman. She had to go straight into being a professor. and the class she taught was on gender law, but all of us, she has to be the best possible lawyer she can be to start the women's movement. Well, not start the women's movement, take the women's movement to a legal place. The whole movie is talking about the rally that's already going on around her, all of the Gloria Steinem and all of these things that are happening socially. And she goes, none of that matters if the law is not changing. And so she decides that she has to change the law. You see her come into herself, you see the law come into itself, and you see the society move with it. And it's so, so wonderful. I picked this one on my heart. I picked the favorite with my head. So the two kind of are interchangeable for me because they're two very different concepts there. But Armie Hammer is incredible in it. He plays her husband Martin, and you very rarely get to see a character that's just so likable. You just love everything he does. You're like, okay, continue on. Keep speaking.
Armie Hammer is killing it the last few years.
He's awesome.
He's always
Sorry to
killed
Bother
it.
You, Call Me by Your Name. I mean, Man from Uncle. Like we saw it how many times he's just killing it.
One thing, I really want to see this movie. Okay, I have not seen it yet. Of interest is the fact that I first encountered this movie on an ad on IMDb, and of course, me being anyways, the sex thing drew my
You saw the word
eye.
sex. Ooh,
Yeah, exactly.
And it's Felicity Jones, and she's an attractive
kills
lady.
it.
No, so I clicked on it and I was like, wow, this movie is so much more than the title says. The title says it all, but it's so much more than that. And I really want to see it on that basis because it sounds like a really remarkable movie that if you just look at the title, you'll think, oh, it's just a sexy film. But no, it's so much more on like a basis on society and how we progress. You know what I mean? But I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And that's a comment made in the movie is I don't know how true most of the history is in there, her story in there is. I'm just geeking out here. If you look through my house, you'll currently find a Ruth Bader Ginsburg t-shirt. There's a mug over there on the counter. There's a magnet over on the fridge. There's a book in my room. Anyway, but so you see her story go through, and I've completely lost what I was talking about because Ruth Bader Ginsburg just inspired me. On the basis of sex, her basically the person that typed out the whole argument goes, you say sex a lot. That it derives a certain emotion from people. What if we change this to gender? And Ruth Bader Ginsburg is like, yeah, okay, but this means you have to rewrite it. And the secretary's like, happy to. It'll make your argument stronger. Rewrites the whole argument to include gender instead of on the basis of sex. So it's interesting that you say that because that's very much a point in the movie, is how illicit that on the basis of sex, what an illicit emotion that draws.
How like one word will draw you, but yet like it means so much more than just
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
The movie, so you see the relationship with Ruth Bader Ginsburg and her daughter, and you see the gender roles within the family. Ruth Bader cannot cook, and Dad takes care of the cooking and kind of is the motherly figure in the way that he kind of takes care of the emotional part of the daughter. She doesn't understand why her mom is so cold and trying to teach her these things in this way. And finally he's like, because she wants you to live in a better life. And if you just listen to her, you will get to live in a better life. And so her daughter does. And they start this wonderful friendship, her and her daughter. And throughout the course of this trial. And so, and at the end, obviously we know how this ends. What was nice is we got done with On the Basis of Sex. I was watching it with my roommates. We came home and we watched RBG, which I had already seen, but they hadn't. But it was nice to get to kind of see this fictionalized idea of kind of how it started and then what she became. So that's part of the reason I liked RBG so much was because it kind of finished the story of On the Basis of Sex for me.
It almost strikes me a little bit like the O.J. Simpson. Did you see that, the miniseries?
Yeah, the miniseries,
Yeah.
And how it didn't turn out for the trial lawyer. I forget her name.
Sarah Paulson.
Yeah. Oh, that's the actress.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I don't know her name,
actual,
but I remember Sarah Paulson.
Like similar, and a lot of good messages that need to be sent for, anyways.
Yeah, I expected On the Basis of Sex to be really preachy. It ended up not being as preachy as RBG was. It was unexpected.
As what you said earlier, and he said earlier, I want to see every movie this year. I saw mostly every movie I want to see except for On the Basis of Sex and The Star Is Born. There were two I want to see, and Hereditary. I'm starting to see that, but I really
And
want
you've
to
got
see
time to see the
Definitely more to see
all
out
of
there.
those.
Absolutely.
it. Okay, we got to wrap this. Where are we at? It's got to be 3 hours at this point.
Yeah,
3
I don't
hours
think we
and
got
15
time
minutes.
Holy God damn it. I'm sorry, everyone. This went super long, but okay. Maybe cut some out the beginning a little bit. I don't know if we could do it like that, but who knows?
Yeah.
So we're going to wrap this up real quick. So if you like our podcast, please rate, subscribe, and review. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Pod Addict. You can find us on podcast.com. And we're also on TuneIn. Now, for all you people driving your fancy cars, we got the TuneIn app on their Teslas and whatnot.
In YouTube.
And we're on YouTube. If you want to find us on social media, we are better in 3D on Instagram. We're up posting stuff all the time. On Twitter, we are 3D Better. I am Not That Maddie on Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. And I am Matt Grenier on Facebook. You can find Mike, who's not here recently, but he's out working. He's just Mike Dennerman on all the social medias. And Paul, the other host who's occasionally here, is Paul the Last Dinosaur on Instagram. And we'll go right to Joe. Where can they find you, Joseph?
Joseph H. Weber on Facebook.
You got to put the H. There's too many Joes out there.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Seriously, I will write Joseph. Like, yeah, if I'm trying to put
You'll
the H,
find 50 million.
Yeah, you won't. Yeah,
Wilmo Baggins on Tumblr.
just on Tumblr.
Just on Tumblr. You know, we talked about this in the last episode that may or not, it probably will go up after this episode, but Tumblr is where you find the lesbians. So do a shot if you're drinking game with this. Do a shot, slam it.
Okay, and I want to thank everyone for listening. Oh, god damn it. Oh, if you want to buy our merch, TeePublic, Better Than 3D. You can buy, Joe, you have a coffee mug, right? It's a great.
I do.
Yeah, it's great.
I do. I forgot to bring it. I ran out of the house.
It's okay. You can get coffee mugs and cell phone cases and T-shirts with all our faces on it. It's fantastic. And I think that's everything. Thank you for listening, and bye.
Bye.
Ciao.